Hey there, Life Challenge. It is, for me, Tuesday, January 10. For you, it will be, for most of you, tomorrow, which will be today for you, Wednesday, January 11. Pre-recording because I have a commitment later on Wednesday afternoon. But if you recall, last week we began a series entitled Get Ready. And my hope is that we look at certain areas of our lives, those areas that impact our ability to be ready, personally and organizationally, for what God has for us as individuals and for what God has for us as a ministry. I'm going to try to flick, and my good friend Eric is with me. We're in my office. There we go. If you recall, we began by identifying 6 key areas of health, and I do have to break in and say to Eric, thank you for your help. So much appreciate all you do for us. And those 6 areas, as we addressed last week, or at least identified, were the physical, the mental, the emotional, the social, the financial, and the spiritual. And I mentioned that those are all dynamic arenas of our well-being and wholeness, and we can be fairly good, fairly healthy in several of those areas, but just one area where we are not giving sufficient attention and addressing can suck the life out of the rest of those arenas and ultimately inhibit us from being, in the case of this series, ready. And so again, I believe that God has some wonderful things in store for us in the days ahead, and I want to do my best to be prepared, to be ready when opportunity comes greeting us, whatever shape or form it takes. And so last week we started addressing the physical component, launching from a very classic passage, Romans 12:1. I beseech you, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God. If you recall, I mentioned that last week, diet is the single most influential factor in overall physical health. I'm sorry, friends, those of you who love to exercise, you can't compensate for a poor diet. Just inhaling lots of sugar and lots of carbs and fats and think, well, I can undo the ill effects of that by exercising like crazy. It will catch up to you. And if we can just make some tweaks, wherever we are in the journey, some of you are farther ahead than me and others. But wherever we are, whether we're farther ahead or, falling way behind, let's make it our goal to up our ante and to better steward the gifts that God has given to us, and in this case, our bodies. As I mentioned last week, just a simple dietary tip: water. Most people are dehydrated, and most people don't know that. And just a simple tweak in drinking lots of water can minimize so many issues, from fatigue to muscle and ligament and joint aches, including headaches, if they would just drink more water. As a general rule of thumb, half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, half of that is 100 ounces, which is just shy of a gallon of water per day. Please, and again, if you are looking at regulating your weight, just a simple tip: drink a glass, 8 ounces of water, 15 to 20 minutes before your mealtime, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and you will find that your appetite isn't as strong. So just simple little things like that. Second thing we mentioned, eat lots of fiber. Got to keep things moving. And there's no substitute for fiber that's found in fruits and vegetables. And might I just say that one orange is much more healthy for you than an 8-ounce glass of orange juice. For many reasons, not the least of which is just the fiber component. And so make it a concerted effort to get a minimum 25, if not 30 grams of fiber a day, and you can do that through nuts, through beans, and other categories. Number 3, I mentioned endeavor to reduce your dairy consumption. It's estimated by some that upwards of 60% of allergies are the result of dairy-related products. And as we mentioned last week, that shouldn't surprise us. Cows are injected with all kinds of things, all kinds of steroids, hormones, all kinds of chemicals, and eventually we as consumers wind up drinking that, no matter what kind of pasteurization takes place. So consider reducing your dairy consumption. You say, well, I thought dairy was important for my bones. By the time it's pasteurized, they have to add calcium to make it good for your bones, and you can get that calcium by just eating leafy vegetables, some good kale, some good salad, however. Number 4, reduce your pork and shellfish consumption. Shellfish are bottom eaters. You're just getting what they've ingested, the bottom stuff that's on the floor of the lake or the ocean. In terms of pork, loaded with sodium, loaded with other kinds of chemicals, and I just would encourage you to limit your consumption there. And where we left off last week, reducing your sugar and sodium consumption. Please throw those monsters away. Don't buy another one. Those Fraps, you're looking at a good 64 grams of sugar just there. That's your allotted plus some for the day. And I suspect that most people have more than a Frap in their day, and that includes food and beverages. So you just drink one Frap, you have almost consumed 2 days full of your daily allotment of sugar. And the startling fact is, as I indicated last week, the average American adult consumes 150 pounds of sugar annually, as opposed to 7 pounds in 1700. Our bodies weren't meant to process that. And so I plead with you, look for ways to minimize your sugar intake. Learn to drink coffee, as I've had to, minus the sugar. Cut back on sugar when it comes to your oatmeal, and then when it comes to candy. I'm not saying to, deny yourself all those pleasures, but minimize that. You do not want to wind up a diabetic if you can help it. You don't want to put on extra pounds, because those extra pounds translate to heart disease, translate to cancer, and many other things. Number 6, new material, finally. Cut back, would you, and watch out for those hydrogenated oils found in simple things like Jiffy peanut butter, anything that's in the vending machine, and that includes your chips, your crackers. Hydrogenated oil is infused into the product to increase its lifespan, and a general rule of thumb is the longer the lifespan of a product, the more it's been altered from its original state. That is to say, the more chemicals that have been infused in that product, which again puts extra stress on your digestive system. And so watch out for those things. For me, with peanut butter, I try to just buy natural peanut butter. I look for the ingredients and, get accustomed to looking at labels more. And I look for peanut butter that has just peanuts in it. And once in a while, I might allow for sodium. But other than that, I don't want to see anything else in my peanut butter. I used to eat Jiffy, extra crunchy peanut butter, by the jar, thinking I was eating to my health. Oh, I'm getting lots of protein. Well, I was getting some protein, along with lots of sodium, along with lots of sugar, and along with lots of hydrogenated oil. And so all of the health effects I thought I was experiencing were just rendered null and void by by that. So just want to encourage you to be smarter when it comes to consuming products. Look for those aspects where there's hydrogenated oil. Another thing, and I hate to get put on your bad list, you see it, stay away from fast food. There's nothing good in fast food. The goal of McDonald's, Taco Bell, A&W, whatever your fast place. And by the way, fast food is found at, yes, God's anointed place, Chick-fil-A. It's also found in places like Olive Garden. They don't make that stuff in their kitchen. It's all pre-fabbed, pre-made, and shipped to their various franchises. It's loaded with preservatives, loaded with sodium, and they endeavor to give you the cheapest stock of whatever it is, whether it's the vegetable, whether it's the meat. Who knows how long ago that cow was slaughtered, with regard to that hamburger you're eating, where it came from. I just want to encourage you, stay away. It's full of hydrogenated oils. Nothing good in it. Just full of sugar and sodium and hydrogenated oil. Eric, are we still friends? Eric is nodding. He says we're still friends. I've stepped on a toe or two, maybe of his. I know of a few of you. Hey, I love you. I love myself. I love this ministry. And I want us to be ready. I don't want us to, poorly steward these bodies and wind up incurring illnesses and sicknesses and other, bad things that we could have avoided had we just exercised better care of our diet. And I think I've got one or two more items. Number 8, think twice about taking vitamins and supplements. This may surprise some of you. Some of you may be rather religious about, taking your supplements and vitamins. The best way to get what your body needs is just to eat good food, regular good food. You'll save money. I'm not saying that supplements should be avoided altogether. In this season, probably you need to think about taking vitamin D. I do. You might want to think about a multivitamin. But in terms of vitamin C and B and zinc and all those things, just look for the food itself. Study after study has shown that vitamins, those who do so, increase their risk of many bad things, including cancer. In fact, as I just even had a talk with my daughter-in-law who works at a cancer institute, vitamins and supplements, I think she said something like, are the 7th greatest risk factor involved in, if not causing cancer, increasing cancer's growth in the body. So, as I said last week, everything I say is suspect. I am not professionally trained in this arena, although I'm passionate about this area and have, read lots of materials. I could be wrong, but do think twice, especially the mega vitamins. I don't think you even have to think twice. Our bodies don't need, 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C. Just eat an orange. And if you want to up it, eat a couple of oranges in the day. You don't need an overload on those items. You're not actually helping your body, okay? Just my thoughts. And as I've just concluded, just eat real food. Just good old-fashioned real food. Buy some celery, load it with some natural peanut butter, great snack, halfway through the day. Maybe half a banana. Balance the sugar spike that you'll experience from eating a banana with a protein with some fat in it, such as peanuts. I often do that, or your apple with some peanuts, whatever it be. But learn, you'll save yourself not only some money, but you'll probably save yourself some not only heartache, but heartburn and some other issues. Among foods that, by the way, find their way to the top 10, sweet potatoes, man, they're full of good things like vitamin C, potassium, fiber, grape tomatoes, broccoli, wild salmon, citrus fruit, spinach, kale, almonds, apples, blueberries. Do look for the fruits that are seasonal in your area. You know, if you're getting tomatoes in January, no telling where those tomatoes came from and how long ago they were harvested. And the longer, you know, from harvest to your refrigerator, likely the lesser the nutritional value. So that's when you want to go as much as you can for frozen vegetables and frozen fruit if it's not in season in your area. Just little things that you can do to up again your ante when it comes to caring for your body and feeling better, having more energy, having more strength, and being able to actually think better and not, be loaded with, issues that weigh down your life and your enjoyment of life. All that to say, conclusion, work toward a healthy body weight. Being overweight increases your risk for virtually all illnesses and chronic conditions. A healthy body weight is best determined by your body mass index, your BMI. And so let me illustrate the formula for finding your BMI is calculated this way. Multiply your weight in pounds by 705 and then divide that product by your height twice. So for instance, I'm getting my calculator, and let's see if I can find my calculator. Here it is. So let's just say I weigh 165. I'm going to multiply that by 705, and I come up with a number 116,325. And then I'm going to divide that by my height in inches. So I used to be 5'10", now I'm like 5'9". So 5 feet times 12, that's 60. If I were 5'10", that would be 70 inches, correct? Did I do that right, Eric? Okay. I'll divide it, however, by 69 twice. 69 divided by 69. So my BMI is 24.432. A healthy BMI is between 18.5 and 24.9. So I just make it. I'm just under the high end of BMI. Now, BMI doesn't factor in muscle, okay? So I'd like to think that some of my extra BMI is muscle. At the end of the day, I'll have to let you determine that. But that is a very good way to discover whether or not you're overweight or not. So BMI, let me repeat, you multiply the weight, your pounds, so in my case 165, by the number 705, you come up with a product, and then you divide that product by your height in inches, in my case 69 inches, and you divide it twice. So I just pushed divide 60 by 69, then I pushed divide by 69, and I came up with a number just under 25, okay? So all that to say, I want to read to you this quote from Dr. David Agus. Most people could delay or totally prevent a vast majority of the illnesses we see today, including not only cancer, but heart and kidney disease, stroke, obesity, diabetes, autoimmune disorders, and dementia and other neurodegenerative disorders if they just adopt a few healthy habits early on and avoid the ones, little typo there, the ones, my bad, and avoid the ones that lead to illness. Over the last few weeks, I've been teaching healthy living in levels 3 and 4, and I've asked my class more than once, all factors being equal, can you and do you determine how long you will live? And at first, students said no. And as they're catching on to this material, all hands went up, I think, on Monday when I last asked this. Yeah, you and I have a say in how long we will live, all factors being equal. And we have a say in how those years will be lived in terms of health-wise. And it all amounts to, most importantly, diet. Shaving off some things, minimizing some other things, and then adding, infusing into our daily diet certain things. And if we just make certain, changes, they don't have to be major, we can experience just a much greater sense of well-being and wholeness, which not only affects us physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It plays into just even our ability to manage certain things with regard to our finances. Our health impacts our social life, does it not? And so just some of these little tweaks can make a huge difference. So I just plead with you to consider some of these steps. And some of you are long ahead on these matters. Others of you might be lagging behind, but no judgment here. Let's just go forward. So what I want to do is continue shortly. And Eric, how much time have I already spent? He's factoring that.
21 minutes.
I want to talk about continuing our subject on how to honor God with our bodies and maximum energy. I love this quote by Edward Stanley. And by the way, this PowerPoint, I just want to send out another kudo to Deonza. Thank you. So much appreciate your help. Here's the quote, though. Those who think they have not time for bodily exercise will sooner or later have to find time for illness. So we're going to pay with time, one way or the other. Depends on how we want to pay and what we're going to pay. If you say, I don't have time, you will have to make some time sooner or later down the road if you don't make priority of exercise. Regular exercise is critical to keeping your energy levels high, improving the overall way you feel, and maintaining a healthy body weight. Again, a caveat. I know we're all at different places. You may be in your 20s and relatively healthy. You may be in your 60s. I'm almost there. You may be in your 70s, okay? And we just have to do what's developmentally appropriate, what's right for our lives. But let's just talk about this. So 7 benefits, first of all, of exercise. And by the way, I do want to say this. There's a big difference between biological age and chronological age. And what I mean by that, how old your body says you are and how old the calendar says you are. Well, what does that mean? I have met plenty of 50, 60, and 70-year-olds who are young 50, 60, and 70-year-olds. I've also met plenty of 30, 40, and 50-year-olds that are old. They've got a lot of city miles on them. A lot of city miles. And they may be in their 40s, but man, they're like in their mid-50s when it comes to actual biology and what they have done to their bodies or haven't done to their bodies. So my goal, I'm approaching 59, is to be as young as I can, launching into my 60s should the good Lord allow me to, and should I have the health to do so. I want to cooperate with this body that God has fearfully and wonderfully made, and I want to be there. as long as I can. I've said this before, I want to outlive Lori if I can. And why do I say that? Because I love her and I want to be able to take care of her until the end, should the good Lord allow that. I may not have any say in that, no matter how anal I am about diet and exercise. We all get that, right? And I want to be there for my sons, my daughters-in-law, as long as I am able to. And I want to be there for my granddaughter and other grandchildren, should the good Lord give that. And I want to be there for friends. I want to be there for strangers. I want to be effective as long as I can for God's glory. Again, this is all about mission. To the degree we take our mission seriously is the degree to which we take our health seriously. So, just 7 benefits quickly of physical exercise. Number 1, this is a no-brainer. Exercise helps us control our weight. You burn calories, and the more intense your exercise, the more calories you burn. You don't need to set aside large chunks of time to reap these benefits, but if you just carve out, 3 times a week, you say, I don't have time. Again, we find time for what we value. I have endeavored to exercise all my life, okay, in different forms, different ways. For 25 years, I was a hard runner, did marathons and other things. Now I'm pretty much confined and I enjoy working out. And so I try to find at least 3 times a week, if not 4. You've got to value your ministry. You've got to value the people that God has called you to serve and love. And to that end, you've got to value your health because you want to be the best you can for those people. And exercise helps us control our weight, helps us combat health conditions and diseases. It really does. Why are some people more subject to illnesses, viruses, other things? All factors being equal, maybe because their body is not in optimal condition. They're overweight, they're not exercising, they're less strong and hardy. You can stave off a lot of things by just proper exercise. Exercise, no-brainer, improves your mood. You get what they say, a runner's high, when not only you're running or jogging, but when you're exercising, it gets the endorphins going. Maybe that's why, I find that, once you get in the groove, you start to experience the benefits. It's getting off the launch pad where the most energy is exerted. And some of you, perhaps, just you don't like exercising. It's so much work. The greatest amount of energy is going to be involved in getting off the launch pad over the next several weeks. But once you start to experience and reap some of the benefits, guess what? You start to get more and more motivated. Wow, I'm feeling better. I'm looking better. My mood seems to have improved. I can think better. And that in itself becomes, do I dare say, addicting. These wins create a desire to win even more and experience even more. So for me right now, going to the gym, I look forward to it. I get up and think about it. Like yesterday on Monday, had a long day and I was in the gym from 5 to 6:15. I couldn't wait to get there. But I didn't initially have that kind of excitement. I had to build into that, okay? But will definitely improve your mood. It boosts your energy. You don't need to go inhale a Monster drink. You'll get a high for maybe an hour or two, and then you crash. I find that if I'm sluggish, if I go take a vigorous walk or a jog, I have another 2-3 hours of energy. It's crazy. It almost sounds counterintuitive. Spend energy to get more energy. That really is how it works. It puts the oxygen all through your body, okay? I can remember vividly one time I had to do a lot of writing when I got home from work, and I was just feeling tired mentally. I was fatigued, and I went and had a run. And I was able, for the next 3-4 hours after the 3-mile run, wow, I had energy and I could think again and take care of business. Number 5, another benefit of physical exercise, promotes better sleep. Um, we'll talk maybe later about the importance of sleep, something often overlooked. If you're not getting 6.5 to 8.5 hours of sleep every night and good sleep, you are going to age and age faster and age harder. And it's going to have negative effects on your health. It really will. And it's not just about, I need to take some melatonin. I didn't even pronounce that right. Melatonin. And not having coffee, after 9 a.m. Just vigorous physical energy that's spent can help and really does more often than not, improve your sleep. It reduces stress. That's probably one of the reasons I've been just so regular with my exercise in ministry for the last 35 years. I don't have time to not exercise because of just stress. I'm able to just release a lot of things. And, exercise is going to look different for each one of us. For me, it used to be jogging. Now it's weightlifting. I used to do a lot of mountain biking. It was my way, by the way, of hitting a trail, hitting it hard. And if you've ever mountain biked and you've done it fast, you can't think about anything else except the next 5 feet in front of you. And it was my way of cleansing myself. I couldn't think about anything for the 30 or 60 minutes I was out on the trail. And I would come back refreshed, like, all my problems are gone. I'd work it out into my pedals and, really into the path. Maybe I'm sounding new age-ish, but that really has helped me keep my blood pressure level and my cholesterol level by just exercising. Okay, I've been able to just put the stress somewhere else. And number 7, it improves how you feel about yourself. Nothing like having a tank. Us men, man, you can just start feeling crappy. Excuse the French, but you can just start feeling bad about yourself. That affects your spiritual, mental, emotional health. That can impact your social relations. Or even if you don't have that tank, you just don't feel as good about yourself. And that can play into so many other arenas, as opposed to, hey, I'm getting some measure of control. I'm taking charge of this area of my life. I feel better about me. That will translate into being a better person in the arenas God has called you to serve. So anyway, hope you got all that. 3 kinds of exercise we need. First of all, we need cardiovascular exercise. If you can see, we need to keep that heart strong as best we can. Now, another caveat, you may have a medical condition which prevents you from engaging in exercise or certain levels of exercise. Talk to your doctor. Be smart, okay? But all factors being equal, we need to exercise that heart muscle in some way, shape, or form. I'm suggesting a minimum 20 to 30 minutes, at least 3 times a week. If the best you can do is just a slow walk for 20 minutes, that's a start. Improve the pace. Walk a little faster, okay? What you want to do is get the heart beating faster and faster for longer periods of time, because you will strengthen your heart. Up it to 4 times a week eventually, and 5 times. I try to do lots of things at one time. I'm more successful at other times than not. But one of the things, I pray and walk at the same time. I do that not only here, but when I'm at home in the morning, in the evening, I'll go pray, but I don't do well just sitting. My mind races somewhere else. I fall asleep. Plus, I only have so much time in the day, so I want to maximize it. So I'll go for a walk and I'll pray. And many times I will walk fast and pray. I'll pray in my head, I'll pray out loud, and I'm able to do 2 things at once. Connect with God. I'm able to connect also with myself better. Sometimes I just think, and I do my best thinking on my feet. But cardiovascular, so important. As I said, increasing your blood rate sends more oxygen into all parts of your body, including your head. Maybe you suffer from headaches and, you're just not thinking well. As I said, some time ago, I came home sluggish, knew I had to do some major writing, and I just took a 3-mile jog. And wow, I sent all kinds of new, fresh oxygen into my head and into every part of my body. And oxygen, man, translates into life and energy. It is said, by the way, that for every hour you're active, you add 1.5 to 2 hours to your life. That's not a bad bargain. So theoretically, you exercise 1 hour, you could actually be adding 2 hours to your life. Not bad. Exercise 2 hours. That can translate to 4 additional hours of life. And you do that week in and week out, month after month, year after year. All factors being equal, what are you doing? You are prolonging your life. And not only increasing the amount of time you'll have on this earth, again, all factors being equal, but improving the overall quality, not just quantity, but quality of that life that you will have. Little short things, by the way, to do. Lori can attest to this. I don't look for the closest parking place if I'm going to Costco, if I'm at the mall. And it's not because I have high-priced vehicles. I don't, first of all, have the patience to go scouring, the whole parking lot to find that choice spot. But I prefer to walk. And it's just little things adding over time. Man, I can get an extra 500 steps in. And by the way, I keep track of my steps. I've got a Fitbit, you can see. I've had different Fitbits for years. Some of you may be built like me. I'm built to compete. And so I've got a little, quote, support group. My sister's in there. I hate it when she's beating me. And I have been up at night sometimes. Even though she's in California, she gets an additional 3 hours on me, at the end of the day because of the time difference. But I don't like my kid sister beating me. And even if she weren't on there, I like a baseline. I like to get in at least 10,000 steps a day. I think I average in the winter more like 12,000. Summer, I'm up to 15,000, 16,000 steps a day. And again, one way to do that, you just go find the parking spot that's the farthest away, okay? If you see me in a parking lot and you say, oh, there's Pastor Jeff, he's way over there. Yeah, that's me, okay? If you go to a doctor's office, I tend not to use the elevator. I just go up the steps. Or if I'm in a hotel, go up the steps. Unless, I've got heavy-duty luggage. After the luggage is in the room, I just go up and down the steps. It could be the 3rd floor. It could be the 8th floor, okay? I just want that exercise. Just little things that you can do to get in those steps. So that's the first kind of exercise we need. The second, flexibility training, often overlooked. For years in my 30s, I suffered from backaches. And more than once I went to the chiropractor. More than once I missed work because I just was in so much pain. And I just have to lie straight, and it was awful. Now, there can be many reasons to that. I don't know all the reasons for me, but I began to learn the importance of flexibility training. And so I have built that into my life. When I work out, I'll also flex in between repetitions or sets of certain exercises, and I'll stretch my torso, my abs, I'll stretch my thighs, my calves, my quads, I'll stretch my arms, my shoulders, and next week, Lord willing, I'll take you through some of those routines. Okay, I'm sitting at my desk. I was actually intending to do so. I've got my jogger on right now. But all it takes is just 5-10 minutes a day of flexing your muscles. Another thing I do is I sit Indian style almost 60. I'm pretty proud. I can sit Indian style, no problem. And I've tried to do this throughout the years. Now that I have a grandbaby, yeah, that makes it even more important. I want to be able to sit with my daughter Adeline, my granddaughter. But man, just sitting Indian style, you're stretching your groin, you're stretching other parts of your legs, and it really does help. It really does. I read years ago that Indians, those in the East, not American Indians, but those in India, suffer from fewer hip problems, and some researchers contend that one of the reasons likely is that many in that culture sit Indian style. You'll see 60, 70, 80, 90-year-olds sitting Indian style, and they're stretching their hips. That's just a little tweak that can so much help. You just don't want to tear things. And by the way, when it comes to flex training, you don't want to do this on cold muscles. As I said, I used to run, I'd run 25 minimum miles a week. Unless, I had a marathon, it would be more. I would do my stretching after the workout. I would not, wake up at 5 and start stretching. My muscles are cold, okay? Wait till they're warm and then begin to stretch, okay? You want to be able to touch your toes. I try to be able to touch my knuckles, and sometimes I can touch my palms by just that bend. All that to say, I told you I had back problems. I haven't had back problems for about 20 some years. It saved me time. It saved me money. It saved me putting medication in my body, and I'm thankful. Now, that may not be the cure for some of you. There may be other matters involved, but boy, it's not too hard to understand. Just imagine this is, my back right here, and this is my hips, my legs down below. If these muscles joining my back, by my butt and the back of my legs, coupled with just my calves, we're all just so connected. If they're not stretched, they're going to be pulling and tearing, and it's going to hurt, and you're going to tweak something. Our ligaments get like rubber bands if they're not used. You ever see a rubber band that's not been used for a while? You pull it and it breaks. And so you want to keep those elastic by flexing and, again, drinking lots of water. Muscles, ligaments, they need hydration. So I just throw that out to you. You can save time. I lost time. I was on my back and I couldn't work. And then I got moody. I got upset, okay? I lost money. Chiropractors aren't cheap. And I've been able to save all that, okay? Flexibility, training. And then the third kind of exercise we need, cardiovascular flexibility. And let me just quickly draw this to a close. Strength training. You and I need 30 to 45 minutes of strength training 3 to 5 times per week. Plain and simple. As I said, I work out at Planet Fitness. I think when this is aired tomorrow, we still have until the next day, Thursday, before the Planet Fitness deal evaporates. But I told you, if you want to sign up, we'll pay for your first 3 months as a standard member, not a black card, but standard member. We're happy to do that on the condition you go there 3 times a week. And I hope you'll take us up on that. Maybe you already do that. But you may not be able to do that. My dad, he's 81, so he's working with the body he now has. And what does he endeavor to do? Up until probably a few years ago, he was still doing his push-ups. He was doing his sit-ups. He was doing other exercises. It's all about just putting resistance on your body parts. Some of you are familiar with the push-pull method. Kelly actually put that before me last week. Kelly. And I did some research, so I'm working out differently at Planet Fitness. So yesterday, for me, I was doing a lot of push, a lot of chest and tricep exercises, okay? The day before, it was Sunday, the day before, I was doing a lot of pull exercises, biceps and curls and what do you call those, pull-ups and chin-ups and other things. So that's another trick. I know Kevin knows a lot more about that than I do, and others of you probably. But find exercises, okay? Some of you, exercising will be about joining a group. My sister used to belong to a spinning group. She needed the social component as well. That's cool. Some of us don't. Some of us don't care for that. Others of us, we need that. But get active. Cardiovascular, you don't like to run. You don't like to bike. Okay. Well, go find a pickleball club in your area. That's fun. Ping pong club. Go find something, a volleyball club, whatever, to get that heart moving. And the strength training, again, that can come in various ways, but don't be negligent. You can grow old hard. You can be in your 50s and actually have the body of a 65-year-old. The same is true. You can be 35 and actually have the body of, a 30-year-old, because you've kept and are keeping good care of it. You have a choice and you have a say, and it's time that, again, we take seriously our health, because we want to take seriously our stewardship of these bodies. So conclusion, it's all about getting ready. Getting ready physically, and we'll get into later other arenas. And by getting ready, I'm trying to increase my mood, my vibrancy. I'm trying to create better channels for thinking, so that, again, I can be at my A game when God calls me to do his thing. So I want to pray for you. Thanks for listening. Dear Jesus, I thank you for my colleagues, my brothers and sisters, and I just pray, again, that you would help us to take more seriously stewardship of our bodies. Please. Not so that we can have bragging rights, so we can feed our egos, but so that, God, we can be better servants in your kingdom, better lovers of you, better lovers of others. That's the objective. So God, help us in Jesus' name. Amen and amen. God bless.